Hey, Dom, how's it going, man?
All right, my man, are you good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. How are you?
Aye, grand, grand. Same old, same old. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this tour now. I mean, it's been a long time coming, as so we're just kind of just waiting for it. We did a lot of stuff in Europe this year.
Mm.
We're out there for ages, and it's always nice to get home, after that. So I'm enjoying the few days I have off, which is nice. Just trying to work on some new stuff. Apart from that, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing acoustic on this tour at all. I think it's just gonna be an electric set, which I've never done before. So that's uncharted territory for me. Which it's kind, I mean, there's a balance between it being good and bad, because the good side is I don't have to play acoustic, which is a lot harder than electric to play, and I always do a solo bit at the start, so I don't have to do that anymore. The other side of it is we need to learn a couple of more songs. Like the guys need to learn some new stuff, and they'll be on the stage for the full set instead of just being there for like 45 minutes to an hour. So there is that element to it, but I'm looking forward to it being a bit more heavy, a bit more lively, a bit more alert. Getting into the crowd and all that, and I'm actually really looking forward to hearing Blue Nation play again as well because I really like that band. And I
Yeah,
don't just like them as a band; I like them as people because we've met them a few times, and they just love it. They're musicians and they just love being musicians and they love the music and there's no bullshit and there's no drama and there's no bravado and there's no ego and you don't need to worry about them. They don't get drunk, they're not out drinking. It's all about the music with these guys. And that it's just so refreshing to see that, you know what I mean? I love
yeah,
that about them. So I want to support them guys. And they've been lovely to me. Like there's been no problem at all talking wise and all that. It's been really nice. So I enjoy that. I enjoy spending time with them and yeah, I'm looking forward to them smashing out of the park every night. I'm very lucky to have them with us. You know, it's always a pleasure when you get a good band beside you.
yeah. Well, I know the boys were excited for it before they sort of they officially made the announcement because I know like
Yeah.
I'm working with them now. Neil knows, me and you have spoken and
Aye.
knows the music. He's like, dude, you're gonna love the tour we've just signed on with, and I'm like, why? And he's like, we're going out with Dom. I was like, oh, wicked. And
Yeah.
I'm coming down to the London show because that falls on my birthday, so it seems
That's
like
your
a
birthday. Yeah, we'll have to get a cake or something.
enough about that. I've had
Do
enough.
something. We're gonna do something. Yeah. I'll get you a pint, which is more than I get most people. So I'll
I'll
get you a
take
pint of Guinness.
no, I can't go wrong. But yeah, they say good lads. You were saying a bit about it being electric set. Am I right in thinking that it's going to be the Power Trio electric set though, rather
Oh
than
yeah, 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 yeah. I can't afford anybody else right now. That's the truth of it. Like, I just can't afford another guitarist or a piano player or anything like that at the minute. What I'd really like to get is a sound engineer. I'd love a sound engineer to come with us on a tour at some point. To get a really good, decent sound. We've met a few along the way that I would love to take with me. Um, but it's all money. At the end of the day, like you don't make a lot of money in this business. Like you have to love it. Yeah, I mean it's a labor of love. You have to live the very essence of it has to be in you. And if you're in it for the money or the fame or the glory or the whatever, I mean, there is none of that. You know what I mean? It's a way of life. For me, it's a way of life, and I can see it in other people that without it, you'd be drowned. Like you would just stop swimming. So I'm very lucky in the way that I get to do this for a life, not for a living, but maybe someday we'll get there, and that's it's always nice to fight for something. But I can pay the rent in this little house here. I can pretty much get by with the music, and here that's mostly in part to the supporters and people come to the gigs and people who support and buy the music and the want the albums and stuff like that. That's what keeps it going. So yeah, I mean it's been a long couple of years of it now, and there isn't much change in it all since the last time I've seen you. There's been a couple of things here and there, like holding Rory's guitars for one was a magical experience,
I can
and I
say
never would
I saw the posts about that, man. I just thought this is the best thing for
still.
them.
I'm still processing it. Like it still hasn't sunk in. A lot of things that have happened recently, I haven't really thought about. Some good, some bad. I haven't even sat down and give it a thought. I've been that busy with everything. I think if I do sit down and think about it, I'll lose my mind. So I'm just staying the course. I'm staying on this path here that I'm on. I seem to be doing okay, musically and personally, which is always nice. I got a lot of time to myself here. I live alone. I'm in the middle of nowhere, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get a car because you can't go to the shop. You can't go and do anything. You're at the mercy of everybody else. So I'm enjoying the space, the quiet, the nothing. There's absolutely nothing. It's lovely. Like at nighttime, if you open up the curtain, there's just pitch black. I love that. You
Yeah,
can't see anything. You know, you're just staring into the abyss, man. There's absolutely nobody around here. There's no lights. There's no nothing. I love it. But I got to get on the road so I can go to the shop, get food, stuff. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying this though. This is lovely. Your own space. You know, I fought for this. I fought for this for so long. I've wanted this for so long, and I've got it. So I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it the way it is. I'm not changing a damn thing.
I don't blame you, man. It's important to have your own headspace. You know, it's important to have that time. You know, I think that's
Yeah, yeah. I
so
need it. I need it, or I can't function. I don't function very well with other people, which is weird because the job I have is a very social job. You know, you're playing gigs and things like that, and it's a full house. I mean, there's a lot of people in these rooms, and I struggle with it. Like, you know what I mean? Being social, I always have. I don't really. It's not that I don't like talking to people or anything like that. I love it. It's great fun, but at the same time, there's a part of me that is just very. I don't know. I mean, the new word for psychopath is antisocial. You know what I mean? So I'm not antisocial, but I'm definitely a bit of a psychopath when it comes to other people and staying away from them. You know what I mean? But in that kind of way, in that regard, yeah, definitely. But I mean, I get a lot of social interaction at the gigs. So whenever I do come home and there's like nobody here, I'm good. I'm good. You know, there's a nice balance between the two. But anyway, what questions have you got? I feel like I'm just ranting and raving here. Just
it's all good, mate.
haven't
Yeah,
talked to a real person in months. Here we go.
So you're saying you don't want to be social, but you do.
Well, this is it. You know, the small interactions that I get, I'm happy enough with that. You know.
But now, obviously, you know, last time we spoke, you were just about to release Buried in the Hail. Now you've just launched the live album Buried Alive. What made you want to capture this last sort of run of dates on it?
Well, we were always talking about a live album, and at the merch desk, everybody's always, "Is there a live album? Is there a live album?" And we're like, "No, sorry," and we just got sick of saying no, that we didn't have what people wanted. So we sat down and we figured out how the hell are we actually going to do this? How do you get the recording from the stage and the thing and the instruments and the sound desk? How do you get that onto some physical thing that you can have and use? You know, I mean, we're like, how does this happen? So Fenton came up with the idea that he can get like a USB or a hard drive or something with some technology, and you can plug it into the desk, and it all just, now listen, I'm making it seem very easy by saying this. It all just falls into place and everything just works, and you've got the recording on this thing, and you can plug it into a computer and it's all there, and you can fix it or whatever the hell needs done. And he just, at every show, he was like, "Can we record?" You know, the sound guy, and you know, see me, whenever I hear we're recording the show tonight, that puts me on edge. I don't play the same. You know what I mean? I don't feel the same. I don't sing the same. I overthink everything, and everything just falls apart for me. So I was running out literally the whole tour, and the ones that we recorded, I was like, "Don't tell me that we're recording the show. Please don't tell me that we're recording the show." But though every night they were like, "We're recording the show tonight," I was like, "Well, it's just something I have to get used to, though, isn't it?" You know. So in a way, that it was kind of helpful for me to kind of get over that stage fright. I don't know, I never really did. You just get used to it. You get used to telling people not to do stuff, and then they do it anyway. You just, you know, you let it go, and that is what it is, and you stop fighting it. But for me, it was an experience. Like, it was really good to be able to not have to try and fight for this album all the time. So I have a great team. Like Fenton and Audrey just went to war, and they just made it happen. It was very little effort for me, apart from playing the songs, you know. So they figured out the technology behind it all, and how to make that thing happen on stage, you know, go through these wires and onto this thing, and then, you know, they figured it all out. And then, I mean, Fenton tirelessly went through every show, and the ones that I kind of really wanted were the ones that had like clicks in the audio and bad things happening in the audio, so we couldn't really use them, which is typical, you know. It's just the way it is. So he went through the whole thing, and he narrowed down the best things for audio, you know, without clicks and things in the background, like artifacts. And then he gave them to me, and I listened to them, and I picked the ones that were like in tune the most and had the most mistakes. I think I went for the ones that had the most mistakes. I like that in a live album. I would hate a live album to be perfect, and every, you know, like, if you want the studio version, it's there, but if you want the live version, that's going to have mistakes. I love that. I love the rawness and the energy of that, you know. So live shows being recorded are very difficult, because that's a screenshot of how you were on the night. That's a screenshot of how your mood was on the night, how you felt, what was going on in your life, everything, you know, it's little screenshots of a person in that particular moment, not just me, you know, Aaron as well on drums and Ben Graham on bass as well. Like, how are they on the night? You know what I mean? Even down to Fenton and Audrey, how are they on the night? You know, there was and the sound guy, you're at the mercy of him because it's all going through the sound desk and then it's on this USB. So you're at the mercy of the sound guy most of all, because the sound is whatever sounds like on stage, he has to replicate that for the audience, but also it's being recorded. So the whole thing is just a complete minefield. So when you realize how difficult it is, you kind of stop worrying about the small things. You kind of actually stop worrying about the whole thing altogether. You end up with a kind of, the psychology behind it is that whatever it will be. Whatever you end up with, and that's just the way it is. You could sit and pick it apart all day long, or you can, oh, I want to go to the studio and fix that lead part, or I want to fix the, you know, the vocals are shit that night because my voice was off and I was exhausted. You end up not worrying about any of it because nothing really matters. And at the end of the day, in 100 years from now, who's going to actually give a shit about any of this stuff? Nobody. The only person that cares about it most is me. And if I just let that go, then, you know, it all just kind of melts away and there's no pressure anymore. And if people don't like it, fuck them. They, you know, they don't have to listen to it. I don't even have to listen to it. Nobody has to listen to it. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. So if any artist is out there worrying about how they sound or, you know, putting stuff out or anything, just put it out. Listen, you're not the finished product right now. Nobody's the finished product right now. As long as you're open-minded and you realize that, you know, you're still fighting to be better and you're still progressing as a musician or as a person or whatever, you're always continuing to grow and you're always continuing to be better. So I hear it from millions of artists all over the world that, oh, I was too nervous to do the song and I just ended up scrapping the album or whatever. And I'm like, listen, you got to put this stuff out there. The only way I can learn personally, the only way I can learn more about myself and to be a better musician overall and a better human is to listen to the songs that I've put out. And it's the only way I can learn and be better from them. And oh, I didn't like that. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to play it slightly different. A lot of people don't listen to themselves. And I think that's a huge mistake. A lot of people can't listen to themselves. And I know because I was like this for a very long time, even Spain to Italy and all, couldn't listen to it at all. Not what I wanted. You know, it's just this thing where you have to give up and you have to let it go because nothing's ever going to really go your way. You know what I mean?
And no live album's perfect, like you say, you know, when
yeah, exactly. You could drive yourself insane. You could go completely mental over trying to get things perfect. And you know, at the end of the day, you could actually be chasing something that doesn't actually exist. And that's a lot of money and a lot of time wasted. You know, people just have to let things go, man. Just the way it is what it is. You've got what you've got and just work with that and do the best you can. And don't let it keep you up at night. You know, I've lost so many sleepless nights, man, from worrying about little tiny things that people aren't really going to pick up on at the end of the day. And nobody's really going to care about it in 100 years, not even 100 years from now. There's no pressure anymore. You know, this is the thing. Anyway, again, ranting and raving about complete nonsense. Lee, sorry,
no, it's cool. No, it's what comes through, man, and it's good. It's what should be out there. I mean, I agree with you. Like when it comes to live albums, you don't. The thing is with live album is when they've been overcorrected, you can tell a million miles off, and then everybody goes, "Well, half of that was done in the studio anyway."
Yeah, that's not a live album. That's an album. You know, that's just a collection of songs that they've worked on very, very hard to get where they want it to be.
Did you feel like you kind of let that go though? That once you let go that dread of, you know, whatever's gonna happen tonight is gonna happen tonight, and you just went for it as you would, as for one of a better term, a non-recorded performance. That it came out better anyway because you weren't worried so much about it.
Yeah, well, sometimes you worry so much about it, and then you're like, "Oh my god, that recording that night was so shit, and I played so bad, and the vocals were shit." And then you listen back to it, you're like, "Oh, it's actually not that bad. You know, I can learn from that. That part there was actually really good." Where I thought that on the time at the night, you know, that it was utter shite, and I never wanted anybody to hear it. I didn't even want to hear it, but it ended up it was actually pretty good. You know, so there's that thing. You have to be open-minded with this thing, and things aren't always as bad as they seem. You know,
no, never.
That's a big thing.
And the tracks that were used on the album, were they all taken from one performance where overall it was best, or was it like taken from different?
Oh yeah, it's like a mix match of all different. Yeah, you get me in many, many different shades and different moods on this album. You don't know what the hell's going to come next, but that's a good thing, you know. You know, you're limited. I mean, some of the songs are like 20 minutes long on the live on the night, you know, the songs go on and on and on, the lead bits and everything, and it just you know, there's like 5 songs in one song type thing where they all just kind of mix together, and it's perfect and it works. But you can't put that on a vinyl because you've only got, even though it's a double vinyl, you only got so much time on a vinyl. You can only squeeze so many songs onto a thing before the sound starts to degrade, before you start running out of room on the actual thing. So you got to cut the songs. You got to cut the songs. You have to cut the songs. You have to even cut them down to 3 minutes so people will play them on the bloody radio. Do you know what I mean? How can you put a 3-minute song that was originally a 20-minute song and 5 different songs on the one 3-minute thing of a? It doesn't work. It's impossible to do that. The compromises, man. The compromises. Oh my God, the compromises. It kills me.
That's why I like being on an independent station, mate. I get to. I'm
Yeah,
very
you get to
lucky.
do what you want.
I get to be trusted.
I don't get to do what I want. That's the thing, but that's okay because it's not about me. It's a collective, you know. It's a complete.
But it's that thing, isn't it? Like, I think anyone who's a fan of the artist, like I've spoken to, you know, quite a few people over the years, and the amount of times they said, "Oh, I'd love you to play this song on the album because it's not going to be a single, but you won't be able to play it because it's 7-8 minutes long."
Yeah, it's on forever. You know?
And I'm like, no, play what we want. Like, if you want me to play that, I'll put it on.
You're one of the very, very few that would do that. You know, I know one station that played State of Your Mind, and it was on the Live at the Hartington, the last live album we did, which was one show in 2 years over the COVID thing. It was the only show that we did. None of us had been practicing. None of us had been playing. And it was at the Hartington, and you weren't allowed to clap or cheer or cough, and you had to sit at a designated spot with a mask on. And it was just the weirdest experience. I'm not saying it was good or bad. It's just so bizarre. It was like you take the fundamentals of a gig and you completely turn them around. And it's a back to front gig. It was so inverted. It was crazy. And the recording does reflect that, although there's some really good stuff on there. You could tell there was a weird uneasiness to it, you know. This one's complete contrast to that because there was no restrictions, there was no rules to follow. And you know, you just let loose with it, for better or for worse. It's incendiary, you know. It's incendiary. Cutting the songs were the hardest part for me because I wasn't actually in front of the computer while it was being cut. So it was hard for me to find places to cut because I didn't want to cut any of it. So I didn't really have a lot of input in that, you know. So it's cut wherever it's cut. That's just it. Whatever lines up with it and however it flows. I don't know, you know. I guess time will tell. People,
like you say, it's a snapshot, isn't it? You know, people that they'll see it as a snapshot, as a you know. I kind of think anytime a song's being edited, you kind of got to think of it as a trailer to the whole film. You know, there's the bits enough to hopefully give people enough a teaser shot to, you know, either listen to the albums in full or come buy a ticket to a show or whatever.
And then there's the energy too. There's a good handful of covers that we did play on the night, but they're not on the album, you know. And they're all the energetic ones, the high energy, like Messing with a Kid, Rory Gallagher, you know, that type of stuff. None of that's on the album, you know. So we put original songs as a priority, and then when we run out of time, we can't fit any more on. And we're here promoting our own original music, so why would we put covers on it anyway in the first place? So yeah, it's hard to let go of that, because I'd love to just fire out our versions of some covers that we play that we know are good, because it makes it better. But to just fire out all mostly your own original material, and it's a daunting task. It's scary, you know what I mean? Because it's not all high energy, and not everybody's going to like that. And people are going to realize that this isn't the full show, because I was there at that show and they played such and such song, and this isn't that song. And you know, so it's a collection of different gigs and different times and different songs, and it's what flows the best. I think we all felt that this was the best way to do it, you know.
I mean, last time we spoke, obviously we talked about the Buried in Hell album, and we spoke about, you know, your cover of Crazy on that. What you're talking about covers, which is a great rendition, man. I still love that. And it's you know, obviously you did put your own stamp on it overall completely.
Thank you for saying that, because you know, if you're gonna do a cover, especially if you're putting it on an album, you have to try and do something new with it or something different with it. Otherwise, there's no point. You're just copying and pasting somebody else's work, and that's not. I really don't ever want to do that. You know, especially if I'm putting it on an album. I don't want to copy anybody. You know.
No. On the tour, when you were doing that song live, did you see people's faces where they realised what song it was? For those who
See,
haven't
to
come
be
out.
honest with you, on most of the stages, as soon as the lights go on, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
You can see nobody. You see nothing because the lights are kind of like there and they're shining directly into your eyes. So on some gigs, I'm like, can you turn the house lights up? Because we haven't seen anybody yet. Oh, right, there you are. And the audience goes right back to the door, and you're like, it just feels like an empty room sometimes. There's a lot of respect because people are quiet and they're listening, they're attentive on the quieter songs. And Crazy was, yeah, pretty much one of those songs where everyone was like, this is a Willie Nelson kind of slash made famous by Patsy Cline song that is being completely torn apart and fuzzed. You know what I mean? It's like some people are going to love it and other people are going to be like, I'm a country artist or I'm a country guy or,
Yeah.
and you're ruining that song, man. It's not rock and roll. You know what I mean? It's you strike a balance between people liking it and not, but yeah, not copying and pasting it is more important than anybody's,
Like you say, if you're gonna cover something, do it your way. Otherwise,
yeah.
there's plenty of other. Go watch a covers band if you want to, and there's place for that. Don't get me wrong, there is place for that. Of course,
Well,
there
there's
is.
definitely place for that. I would love to be a covers band. I would love to be a covers band. Do you think I want to play my own songs? I never wanted to play any of my own songs ever, ever. I never wanted anybody to hear Spain to Italy. It was not made for human consumption. It was never made for public hearing. It was most of the songs I wrote because I just needed to get something out, and this is the only way that I've ever been able to make sense of the world and feel better from from living and having the experience of life. It's hard sometimes. We all have that. Music should, like, playing an instrument should be mandatory, not mandatory, but like you should always encourage children and young kids and things like even older people to pick up an instrument that interests them and start playing, because you don't have to be great at it. You don't even have to be good at it. You just have to make a noise with it, and some weird thing happens in your brain. You start feeling better. It's the weirdest thing. It's the only reason I do it, because it makes me feel so good. It's the only thing that has been able to do that. And I've tried cocaine, tried ecstasy, I've tried acid. I've tried all these drugs in my younger years, and none of them come close to how music and what music has done for me as an individual. If it can do it for me, it can do it for everybody. You know what I mean? So pick an instrument that interests you and just start making noise with it. It doesn't have to, it's not a competition. There is no pressure for you to have to impress anybody. People get all fumbled and they're like, oh, I can't do it because people are watching, and I feel like, oh, I'm being judged. It's all bullshit, man. Nobody's watching. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares. If they do care, there's something else they care about, and they're projecting what they care about onto you're playing or whatever the hell's going on in their life. It's not personal. It's definitely not personal.
Well, you say about that, mate. A friend of mine, who we've been friends with for like 20 years since we were teenagers and stuff. I was chatting to him the other day, and he found a recording that we did, me and him, when we were about
Brilliant.
13, 14.
Yes, I love it.
And a mate of ours he was a bit older than us. We were sort of like 13, 14. Zach was probably about 17. And he bought like an 8-track, and we were just mucking around. None of us
Yes.
knew how to use it. I'd been playing bass about a year, if that. I
Yeah.
was awful. But it was this thing of like, we need to put something down. We didn't even know how to mic up my friend's drum kit. We literally just put a microphone and hung it above his head.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
And I was around Max's the other day, and he's like, oh, I'm going to put something on. You don't, guess what I found? And I was like, what are you on about? And he just put this CD and play, and I was like, Jesus. And it was like, it sounded dog shit, don't get me wrong.
But I bet you sounded great though at the same time.
It brought back a lot of stuff, It's a thing where, like, I remember being how happy we were that we recorded this thing.
Yeah.
A cover of Papa Roach on it, and
Class. I'd love to hear that. I would love to hear that.
And some bad song that we all wrote at the age of 13 on it as well. And
But that's great memories. It's great to look back on that. Sometimes looking back on stuff like that can, like, charge you up to do it again, or try something new. Or
yeah, but it's that thing of, like you say, getting in a room and making a noise twice a week, and
yeah,
in his mum's living room, and terrifying half of her neighbours.
that's the only way to do it. Yeah, that's your childhood right there. I'd love a studio. I'd love to be able to build one and be able to use technology, but there's, like, I'm allergic to it or something. You know what I mean? I get like hives and I break out and sweats and stuff. And I mean, if I can get the amps to work, I'm happy. But even that's like 50-50. You know what I mean? It's technology in me don't work. Even like automatic doors don't open and shit. They don't open for me, and like automatic hand dryers. None of that stuff works. I'm scared to look at this pedal board because I know something's going to blow up. I'm so tempted to just throw everything out, you know, and just go back to just plugging into the amp and hopefully it works. But it's hard to get an amp to sound like all these pedals, you know, that's the problem. Taking the acoustic out of the shows will probably help a lot, because most of that stuff is for the acoustic sound, you know, the reverbs and the tremolo and the stuff, you know. So it's a pedal board for like a universal pedal board that'll work acoustic and electric without changing anything, which is what I've set it up to use. Probably doesn't sound great, but it works for me. It's got me this far. But yeah, it's all falling apart and all the jacks are broken. I'm like sellotaping the jacks in with blue tack and all sorts of shit. It's falling apart, but like myself. But I like the unpredictableness of it. Like if everything just worked and it was all perfect, there'd be no like, who the fuck is it going to work tonight? You know, I kind of like be living on the edge of a knife with technology. I think if I had a studio, it would probably burn to the ground anyway with me in it. So I'll leave it up to the professionals. You know.
Yeah, just leave that one to it, mate. I've got some rudimentary use of a 8-tracker if you ever want to borrow that.
So. Thank you. That'll do. That'll do. I'll be happy with that. You know. I'll definitely be happy with that.
It's nice though when you get like new, like, have you, I mean, I was going to say you change up things, but obviously recently you sort of touched on the point earlier, getting to play on Rory Gallagher's guitars. How did that actually come about? Because that's an insane opportunity.
A while ago we did Rory Gallagher's album Juice. The second album was being re-released by Universal, and they got in touch with us and asked us if we could do, you know, like 6 or 7 songs from the album at a venue and record it and video it and all that for the release. And we did that. And I think Daniel Gallagher works for Universal in some capacity. I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to say because I don't know. So I don't want to, maybe he doesn't. That's just, I'm kind of just guessing. But I think he liked this. He liked what we did. And obviously he knows I'm a huge Rory fan, and him and Donald as well. And they just asked if we'd be in London at that time, and if we could do a show, and we jumped at the chance, of course. And yeah, we made it there. Me and Fenton were in Europe doing a couple of solo shows, and so we got the plane back, and we were at Bonham's the next day. So for me, it was busy. It was a busy time. You know, there was a lot going on, and a lot of travel, and a lot of planes and buses and stuff, and taxis and all sorts of stuff. And carrying equipment, and you know, all that. Airports are, you know, they are what they are. Just the life, really. And so when we got to Bonhams, it was just, I just couldn't stop shaking, you know, because of what the event was and what was happening and everything. I mean, there's a lot of mixed emotions, and you know, I tried to just find a kind of nice center to be in and enjoy the experience, but I was on edge the whole day. I was just completely on edge the whole day. And I know it's not like we deserved to be there or anything, but it was I know we were in the right place, you know, that kind of thing. It wasn't like I was uneasy because we felt like we were in the wrong place or we didn't deserve to be there. But it's Rory, you know, me and Rory, I don't know, there's always going to be a very special kind of place in my life for him. You know, I owe him so much. He was my only constant growing up as a kid, was his music. And it's weird, but you know, it's whenever you feel like you've known somebody your whole life, even though you've never actually met them, that weird thing. And then here we are in this room surrounded by all his guitars and all his amps and things. And the whole guy's life is just in this room, and everybody's just looking at it and touching it. And, you know, they're all buying it and thinking of it. And it was the weirdest experience. The respect and the love in that room for him was immense. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before in my life. But that National of his, that Triolean, I've been looking for that guitar for like 25 years, you know, and I've met people along the road, like Jerry McAvoy and, you know, things and people like that. And I've always asked, that was the only real question I had for them was, where's the National? Because I'd love to play it, you know, just for a minute, just in a room, just even for a second, because I don't know why, but I have this addiction to find that guitar and play it just because I want to, because that's what I want. That's what I really want, you know. Not £1 million, not a mansion, not a solid gold toilet, just to play that guitar just for a minute. That's all I really want in life. And I've been looking for it for so long, and nobody could give me an answer. And I know, you know, I knew Donald probably had it somewhere, but like, I don't know Donald. I don't have his number. I can't get in touch with him. He's unattainable to me. You know, he's like, you can't touch these people. You know, it's like, you can't even get near them. That's like, they're enigmas to me. I don't even know how I would go about getting in touch with anybody about anything anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird thing. But there we are in the room, and there's that National, and I'm walking past it, you know, setting up, bringing amps to the stage and guitars, my own stuff to the stage, and it's on the wall, and I'm staring at it. I'm like, it's there, you know, I've achieved something with, you know, with doing this thing. I finally got there. For me, it was such a big moment. It was such a big moment, and it was kind of like a final goodbye, you know, in a lot of ways, which is kind of sad, but yeah, sometimes you got to let go of some stuff in the past in order to move on to a better future, you know. And I'll always play a Rory song in the set. There's always going to be a Rory Gallagher song in the set. But the thing of like, oh, he wants to be Rory, and all he does is play Rory Gallagher songs, always Rory Gallagher tribute band. I never really aspired to any of that, and I didn't want the comparisons or anything. That was all just done because I just loved playing his music, and I've kind of yeah, it's kind of it's, you know, it's, I don't really play as much as I used to of his stuff. I'm busy playing my own stuff, of course, you know, but Rory gave me a great platform to start from, to jump off from. And, you know, there'll always be a place for Rory in the set, without a doubt, you know. It was a magical experience, absolutely magical experience.
It was a bit gutting though when you broke the guitar string though.
I broke the string, and I kept the string. I kept both parts of that broken string. Yeah, I couldn't believe I broke it. I was like, how do you break a string playing slide? But I think what happened was, I mean, me and Lawrence were on the stage at the same time, and Lawrence plays in standard, which is, you know, like E standard, which is what the song was in. So the only way I can really play slide on that is if I tune up the E standard open, you know, which is all the strings are like the G string, especially, is tuned way up. And so the strings were tight, you know, the strings were really, really tight. And I'm blasting away on this slide, and it just, of course it broke. Of course the string broke. So I kept the string, and I've got half of it, and Fenton has the other half of it, and we'll do something. We'll put it in a picture frame or something, you know, and just keep it forever. And I watch a lot of Rory stuff online still, and that black telly, that Esquire, is always one of the, you know, I watch him play it. And every time I see it now, I'm like, I broke a string on that guitar. You know what I mean? It's like, I know it doesn't sound like much to anybody else, or, you know, it's not a big deal for anybody else. But for me, that's one of the coolest things I've ever done. You know, that's
one. Say, like Rory means, and his music has meant so much to you, mate, and been a big like constant influence. It's a personal thing. And then like the only way I can describe it is the other, like from my side of the coin, I went to London, and we went to, I think, like rock and roll cafe thing, and behind the rope was a bass that was John Onwhistle's bass, basically.
Oh, nice.
Huge influence on my bass player.
Yeah.
Huge. And I stood there, and there's this big red rope, and I'm like, I just leaned over and just plucked the string. I just had to. I had to do it. And so I got told off by whoever was there. So
of course,
you can't go touching that. And I was like, oh, I've done it now. It's done.
Well, it's done now. Yeah, I mean, you can't take it back.
And started playing because I definitely want to get told off for that. I just thought I've just got to.
Yeah. It's a little hello and goodbye. You know, a little thank you for the music and the inspiration. You know, yeah. So it's a weird thing to process. It's a weird thing to process. I haven't really sat down and thought about it all yet, you know, but I've seen some pictures and some videos and stuff online. It just doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem real, you know. It'll sink in eventually. But yeah, apart from that, you know, just busy making music and annoying people. Annoying the fuck out of people and playing music. Yeah, that's it. We're gonna release a single from this live album on the 1st of November, which is, it's gonna be the song Government.
Oh, nice.
Which I wrote for the government, funny enough. You know, it's time to call it a day. It's time to trim the herd, I think. It's time to stop this madness. Probably a bad move on my part. Now I'm on their list. Now I'm on their wee black book, so I am. I'll be outcast in no time. So on the 29th of November, we're going to release Unhinged as a single as well. Yeah, and the release date is the 13th of December.
Yeah, brilliant, man.
That's when it'll be released and all that stuff.
We can come and see you and the rest of, you know, see you and the Blue Nation boys up and down the country, mate. You've got quite a lot of dates on this one.
Yeah, I've got a poster here. Look, I'm not doing this from memory. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not doing this from memory. So we're going to start on the 2nd of November, and we're going to be in Edinburgh, and then from the 2nd to the 10th, we'll be, you know, consecutively Newcastle, Leeds, Chester, Sheffield, Grimsby, London, Newbury, Whitby, Blues and Rhythm Rock Festival. 17th, there's a festival that's to be announced. Nice. And then from the 26th to the 30th is it's all Ireland shows, which the lads are coming over to play as well. It's great that they agreed to come and do the Ireland shows as well, you know, so that's lovely. We'll be in Cork, Dublin, Limerick, Derry, Londonderry, Warrenpoint, and then from the 1st of December we're playing Mandela Hall in Belfast.
Oh, nice.
It'll be, I think it'll be the biggest show we've done in our hometown, in my hometown, you know. So I think it's the biggest hall around. So we're hoping that people go, because if we stand there and it's like, I don't know, 1,000 people capacity or whatever it is, and like 100 people turn up, it's going to be a bit weird. But here, we'll do it anyway. It'll be fun. 4th of December we're in Manchester. The 5th of December we're in Southampton, and the 6th we're in Lou Blues Rhythm and Rock Festival. And then that's it. We're off. I'm off for the rest of December. I'll be doing driving lessons galore all December, and hopefully get a test booked maybe January, February time, and get my license, and I'll be able to go to the bloody shop and get a bag of coal. You know what I mean? That's all that's happening in my life, man. Apart from that, it's all quiet. You know, my son, he's 6 years old now. He's growing up fast, and I'm going to see him not tomorrow, but the next day. So it'll be great to spend a couple of days with him, you know, and he's got his own room here and everything. I'm setting that up for him with some cool black lights and some LED pictures and shit, you know, so he has a comfortable time. He loves being here. There's a tire, like a swing out on the tree out in the front garden, you know. So he's like, can we go on the swing? And like the 16th time of the day, you know, going on the swing. I'm sick of the damn swing. I wish I'd taken it down when I moved in, but he loves it, you know. I got him some munchies and some crisps and all that, you know. He loves eating crisps after his vegetables, of course. And yeah, it's gonna be a lovely, quiet Halloween. You know, just me and my boy taking it easy. I'll try and get him to play some guitar, but here, who knows? Who knows? Can't force them. You know what I mean? Is there anything you'd like to know? Have you got any questions you'd like to?
Yeah, just really know what's the plans for, you know, have you got any plans lined up for next year yet, mate, or anything? You got any plans to follow on with the studio or anything like that?
New album. There'll definitely be a new album next year, without a doubt. I'm working on it at the minute. You know, it's all pretty much mapped out. I just need to get comfortable with it, you know. I need to get comfortable playing it all in order to be able to play it all live, you know, that thing. And it's still evolving, you know. I mean, I've always evolved the songs after the studio in the past, you know. So all the songs on like Spain to Italy, Savage Life, and even to an extent Buried in the Heel, they've all evolved now. None of them really sound like they sounded on the album, which is good, you know. It's a good thing. And I'd rather do it the other way now. I'd rather have all the songs ready and then play them a lot and then evolve them to a certain point where when you're in the studio, you're not really figuring it out. You know, it's all there and it's ready to go, and you've already kind of tested it a little bit, you know. But it'll be another mix of acoustic stuff and electric stuff, of course, you know. And I've got some beautiful songs, and that's me saying that. I'm not saying that, you know, look at me, I'm great, all this. Yeah, I wrote fucking brilliant songs. I'm just saying, for me personally, these songs that I'm writing at the minute really are really good.
Are they going down?
It's hard for me to say that. It's really hard for me to say that. Sorry.
Are they going down a similar kind of vibe to Buried in the Hell, or are they going down a kind of different route with it? Or,
you know, I have no idea. I really don't know. I mean, all the albums are going to be different, of course.
Yeah.
But like I say, a good mix of acoustic and electric stuff. But I really don't know how they're going to turn out when they're recorded. I really don't know. It's a mystery. It's exciting though, you know.
Do you like to finish stuff off, like, for want of a better term, in like not have a stricter idea before you go into the studio and just see?
I think I like having deadlines more than anything, you know. I like, oh, we're going into the studio in such and such time, so this is the amount of time you have to get everything you need to get done. And if I don't really have a deadline, I'm kind of just like, oh well, I could do it tomorrow, or I could do it next week, or, you know, there's no real. So I'm like, if you tell me I can't do it by tomorrow, I'll have it done by tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? It's like that thing. I need that to kind of spur me on a bit. But yeah, you never know what's going to come out when you pick up an instrument or you go to record it, because see, as soon as that red light goes on, man, it's like whenever people were telling me that, oh, we're recording the show tonight, I'd be like, no, we're fucking not. We're not recording the show. Stop telling me that we're recording the show. You're putting me on edge, man. You're ruining my whole vibe. You know, the whole concentration level, focus is just gone now, because all I'm thinking about is that red light being on. And it's the same in the studio. You know, if you hit record and don't tell me that we're recording, I'll go in and play something that'll be comfortable for me. Yeah. But if we're like, all right, 3, 2, 1, now we're recording, it's like, well, fuck, I don't know how to play guitar. But you know, I don't know what G chord is. What is this? This is alien to me. I don't know why. There's a flip and a switch that just appears out of nowhere, and there's no control over it. It's completely wild animal. It's untamed, and you're like, well, what do I do with this? You know. So the studio's always been difficult for me. The last time was lovely. We had a great studio. It was in Portland. It was in the middle of nowhere. It's called Golden Egg Studios. And the guy who owned it was lovely, and his wife and all that there. And the producers, Chris and Graham, were lovely guys. They've worked with me, and there was none of this, oh, we're going to do it this way, because I produced this album too. I didn't produce the other two, but I produced this one. And I stuck to my guns on this one. Like, this is me. You know what I mean? This is me. When it was all over and I had the finished product, I was like, oh my God, where do I go from here? Because this is what I wanted, you know? This is what I wanted the other two albums to be. And this is all my albums in one that I wanted the way I wanted. And it's like, oh, well, where do you go from here? What do I have now to fight for? You know, I know I can do it. I know I can do it, and I know I can get it the way I want it to be. So that's the struggle, I think. You know, getting comfortable in a studio enough to be able to not worry about when the red light goes on. That's something that we can all fight towards, I think. Maybe some people don't have that, but I think a lot of people probably do.
I think everyone's got to learn to trust themselves a bit better and realize that they're doing what they should be doing.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's just the being prepared. I think I'm working on the preparation a bit, like a lot more with a bit more scope. You know, preparation is key. As long as you're prepared, even for a gig, you know, if you feel a little underprepared for a gig, it's not comfortable. It can work, it can be good, but it's very uncomfortable. Where if you're prepared and you know what each button does on your pedal board, and you know where the amp needs to be to get that sound, you know, and this sound, it takes time. You have to live in it. You know, if you're just winging it, you know, it's a 50-50 thing. It's like flipping a coin. You know, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But if you're prepared, you can hit it every night, and you know exactly what you're going to get. That's key for me, I think. You know, what was the question again? I fucking don't know.
It's all good.
I have no idea.
You're fine, man. It's all good. I'm very relaxed in my interviews, man. I don't interrogate anyone with a list of questions. It's all about.
I think you've said about 20 words since we started, which is nice.
People are here to listen to you, mate, not me.
Oh, I don't know about that. Like, you're probably doing yourself a disservice by having me on this show. For God's sake.
Not at all, my man. It's a pleasure.
Fair play.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the show in London and come and see the Blue Nation Boys. And
it'll be great to see you again, Lee. It's been ages, mate.
Yeah, it's been everything. Like I say, last time I saw you was the Stowmarket show, and you know, it was great to see it live. And you know, Buried in the Hail was like an album of the year for me last year.
Thank you.
You know, it's an incredible record. Excited to see it live again. Excited for the live album, man. So I see what's come ahead, dude. And it's
I appreciate the time.
No worries at all. It's been great to catch up with you, bud.
Hey, listen, anytime, my man. Anytime. You know, I'm here for you if you need me. You know, even not doing this, you can just call me if you want. I'm always up. I'm always here.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, dude.
Anytime. Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
And I'll see you in a couple of weeks, pal.
Yeah, I'll see you then, my man. I'll be there with the Guinness, and happy birthday for you. Thanks, Lee. Listen, look after yourself, my man, okay? Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon. Thanks, man.
See you soon, man. Bye, dude.
Best. Thank you.